All right. Welcome back to break time reading. I guess I got to come up with a better name for this, but we're continuing where we left off earlier today. In Paradise Lost, we're in book 4, and Satan has just concluded his his hardening speech. I called it that. He wonders over whether or not he should repent. And goodness gracious, gentlemen, what are we doing? Hopefully everything's all right back there. He's just concluded his hardening speech, and he's wondering over whether he should repent, and oh, miserable me, and then he blames God's goodness for his downfall, which is a very interesting sort of thing to do. And then he determines, no, I will make evil good, and that's where we end. And by the way, he's on his way to the garden to corrupt Adam and Eve. Thus while he spake, each passion dimmed his face, thrice changed with pale, ire, envy, and despair, which marred his borrowed visage, and betrayed him counterfeit, if any eye beheld, for heavenly minds from such distempters foul are ever clear. Whereof he soon aware, each perturbation, smoothed with outward calm, artificer of fraud, and was the first that practised falsehood under saintly shew, deep malice to conceal, couched with revenge, yet not enough had practised to deceive Uriel, once warned, whose eye pursued him down the way he went, and on the Assyrian mount saw him disfigured more than could befall spirit of happy sort. His gestures fierce he marked, and mad demeanor, then alone, as he supposed, all unobserved, unseen. So on he fares, and to the border comes of Eden, where delicious paradise, now nearer, crowns with her enclosure green, as with a rural mound, the champaign head of a steep wilderness, whose hairy sides with thicket overgrown, grotesque and wild. Access denied, and overhead upgrew insuperable height of loftiest shade, cedar and pine and fir and branching palm, a sylvan scene, and, as the ranks ascend, shade above shade, a woody theatre of stateliest view. Yet higher than their tops, the verdurous wall of paradise upsprung, which to our general sire gave prospect large into his nether empire neighbouring round. And higher than that wall a circling row of goodliest trees, loaden with fairest fruit, blossoms and fruits at once of a golden hue, appeared, with gay enamelled colours mixed, on which the sun more glad impressed his beams than in fair evening cloud or human bough, when God hath showered the earth, so lovely seemed that landscape. And of pure, now purer air meets his approach, and to the heart inspires vernal delight and joy, able to drive all sadness but despair. Now gentle gales, fanning their odoriferous wings, dispense native perfumes, and whisper whence they stole those balmy spoils. As when to them who sail beyond the Cape of Hope, and now are past Mozambique, off at sea northeast winds blow Sabian odors from the spicy shore of Araby the blest. With such delay, well pleased they slack their course, and many a league. Cheered with a grateful smell, old ocean smiles. So entertained those odorous sweets the fiend who came their bane, though with them better pleased than Osmodeus with the fishy fume that drove him through. Though enamored from the spouse of Tobit's son, and with a vengeance sent from Media post to Egypt, there fast bound. Goodness, that was a mouthful. Now to the ascent of that steep savage hill Satan had journeyed on, pensive and slow, but further way found none, so thick entwined as one continued brake, the undergrowth of shrubs and tangling bushes had perplexed all path of man or beast that passed that way. One gate there only was, and that looked east on the other side, which, when the ark felon saw, due entrance he disdained, and in contempt, at one slight bound high overleaped all bound of hill or highest wall, and sheer within lights on his feet. This is, I believe, this sounds very similar to in C.S. Lewis's The Magician's Nephew, when Jadis, the White Witch, who's first introduced in that book, whose backstory is told in that book, I should say, when she leaps the wall of the garden and eats of the fruit there. I bet you this is where he took that from. Lewis was a big fan of Paradise Lost. He wrote a very, very impactful introduction to Paradise Lost that is kind of, I've heard, is kind of sort of the text to wrestle with if you're a Milton critic. Which when the Archfelon saw, due entrance he disdained, and in contempt at one slight bound high overleaped all bound of hill or highest wall, and sheer within lights on his feet. As when a prowling wolf, whom hunger drives to seek new haunt for prey, watching where shepherds pen their flocks at eve, and hurdled coats amid the field secure, leaps o'er the fence with ease into the fold, or as a thief, bent to unhoard the cash of some rich burgher, whose substantial doors, cross-barred and bolted fast, fear no assault, in at the window climbs, or o'er the tiles, so clomb this first grand thief into God's fold, so since into his church lewd hirelings climb. Thence up he flew, and on the tree of life, the middle tree and highest there that grew, sat like a cormorant, yet not true life thereby regained, but sat devising death to them who lived, nor on the virtue thought of that life-giving plant, but only used for prospect, what, well used, had been the pledge of immortality. So little knows any, but God alone, to value right the good before him, but perverts best things to worst abuse, or to their meanest use. Beneath him with new wonder now he views, to all delight of human sense exposed, in narrow room nature's whole wealth, yea more, a heaven on earth, for blissful paradise of God the garden was, by him in the east of Eden planted. Eden stretched her line from Aran eastward to the royal towers of great Seleucia, built by the Grecian kings, of where the sons of Eden long before dwelt in Telesar. In this pleasant soil his far more pleasant garden God ordained. Out of the fertile ground he caused to grow all trees of noblest kind, for sight, smell, taste, and all amid them stood the tree of life, high, eminent, blooming, ambrosial fruit of vegetable gold, and next to life, our death, the tree of knowledge, grew fast by, knowledge of good, bought dear by knowing ill. Southward through Eden went a river large, nor changed his course, but through the shaggy hill passed underneath engulfed, for God had thrown that mountain, as his garden mold, high raised upon the rapid current, which through veins of porous earth, with kindly thirst updrawn, rose a fresh fountain, and with many a rill watered the garden, thence united fell down the steep glade, and met the nether flood, which from his darksome passage now appears, and now, divided into 4 main streams, runs diverse, wandering many a famous realm and country whereof here needs no account, but rather to tell how, if art could tell, how from the sapphire font the crisped brooks, rowling on orient pearl and sands of gold, with mazy error under pendant shades, ran nectar, visiting each plant, and fed flowers worthy of praise, which not nice art in beds and curious knots, but nature boon, poured forth profuse on hill and dale and plain, both where the morning sun first warmly smote the open field, and where the unpierced shade embrowned the noontide bowers. Thus was this place a happy rural seat of various view. Groves whose rich trees wept odorous gums and balm, others whose fruit, burnished with golden rind, hung amiable, Hesperian fables true, if true, here only, and of delicious taste. Betwixt them lawns, or level downs, and flocks grazing the tender herb, were interposed, or palmy hillock, or the flowery lap, or of some irriguous valley spread her store, flowers of all hue, and without thorn the rose. Another side, umbrageous, grots and caves of cool recess, o'er which the mantling vine lays forth her purple grape, and gently creeps luxuriant. Meanwhile, murmuring waters fall down the slope hills dispersed, or in a lake, that to the fringed bank of myrtle crowned her crystal mirror holds, unite their streams. The birds there choir aptly, airs, vernal airs, breathing the smell of field and grove, attune the trembling leaves, while universal Pan, knit with the graces and the hours in dance, led on the eternal spring. Not that fair field of Enna, where Proserpine, gathering flowers herself, a fairer flower by gloomy Dis was gathered, which cost Ceres all that pain to seek her throughout the world, nor that sweet grove of Daphne by Orontes, and the inspired Castalian spring might with this paradise of Eden strive, nor that Nicean isle, girt with the river Triton, where old Cham, whom Gentiles Ammon call the Libyan Jove, hid Amalthea and her florid son, young Bacchus, from his step-name, Rhea's eye, nor where Abyssine kings their issue guard, Mount Amara, though this by some supposed true paradise, under the Ethiop line, by Nilus's head enclosed with shining rock, a whole day's journey high, but wide remote, from this Assyrian garden, where the fiend saw, undelighted, all delight, all kind of living creatures, new to sight and strange. And I think we'll end it there. There's a lot of description. One thing about Milton that I wish I had done, but it would take a long time, is all of the mythology he references and draws in that I'm regrettably very ignorant of. So all of this, I recognize a few of the names, but I'm not unfamiliar with all of the stories. Well, almost all of the stories he's referencing. But we'll end it there, and I'll go back to work. Thanks for watching.